Thank you so much for having me. Can you please share your perspective on what's happening with the ambassador to Ukraine from US?
Well, Bridget Brink is leaving or has left, and now they have to find a new ambassador. I know that people, you might say, politically connected to the new administration were not interested in working there. I think they weren't sure what that position might mean in terms of their career. But I'm certain there are able Foreign Service officers who would very much like the responsibility of being the U.S. ambassador in Ukraine.
What it would be with Ukraine? Like Ukraine without ambassador right now, and how it can like.
Well, in normal practice, you might say, it's not uncommon for a country not to have a U.S. ambassador for 6 months or even a year when administrations change. So that is not a good thing, but it's manageable. The senior officials in the embassy are still competent. And of course, there's a very effective Ukrainian ambassador in Washington, Ambassador Makarova. And of course, there are phones. I mean, we know that Yermak talks with Waltz, and other senior American officials talk with other senior Ukrainian officials. So this can be managed.
Oh, okay. And how long it takes to replace the ambassador?
Well, normally, choosing an ambassador is a process that takes 6 or 9 months. First, you have to find the candidate, or candidates plural. Then you have a decision made by senior levels of the government, including at times the president, as to who that choice would be. Then they have to have a security check. Then they have to testify before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and be confirmed by the Senate. Now, you can speed things up, and if you speed things up, it might take 3 or 4 months.
Okay, usually it's changing the president and changing the ambassador. Yours, yes?
Well, when every time a new president takes office, all ambassadors write a letter of resignation, and some of those letters are accepted by the new president and some are not. But when you don't have a change of presidents, normally ambassador's term is 3 years, so I don't know, 85, 90% of the time, an ambassador will leave a post after 3 years. Sometimes they're extended for special circumstances.
Okay, and also from your perspective, what's happening in the country, in the US? How can you describe it?
Well, if you're talking about American foreign policy towards Russia's aggression in Ukraine, obviously we have a new president with a new approach. Some of the things about his approach we knew for many months before he became president. I mean, he said he wanted to stop sending American aid to Ukraine. He said he wanted to achieve a durable peace via negotiations, and he expressed a confidence in doing this quickly. So those things we've known, again, for months. But once in office, we've seen that his promise to be tough on whichever party prevented a quick, durable peace has proved not to be, at this point, true. While he punished Ukraine severely for what he thought were the rude remarks that Zelenskyy made in the Oval Office, which really were not rude, he has taken no steps against Russia, which has rejected various ceasefires, which Ukraine has accepted. And that's a policy which is bound to fail. So if Trump really wants to get a peace deal quickly, a durable peace, whether it's just a ceasefire or more, he's going to have to put heavy pressure on the Kremlin, which wants to take more of Ukrainian territory and establish political control in Ukraine.
You say if, so we do have any other option?
Well, there is a danger that Trump will completely cave to Putin. Now, I'm not predicting that will happen, but the behavior over the past 6 or 7 weeks has made many people think this is in the process of happening, and I understand that.
So how can we prevent it with the diplomacy?
Well, I think that Zelenskyy is in a tough position, and I think he, by and large, has handled this tough position well, but not perfectly. It would be smart for him, the president of Ukraine, to offer no public criticism of Trump. Because Trump pays attention to what President Zelenskyy says as he pays attention to what President Putin says. He doesn't pay attention to what other senior officials say. So the criticisms which we hear from Zelenskyy are legitimate criticisms. But he does not have to be the one to say it. He could have his Foreign Minister Sabiha, say it. He could have his Defense Minister, Umarov, say it. He doesn't need to say it. And that would be a step in the right direction, because he's not going to persuade Trump to do the right thing by legitimate criticism.
And also, when we are talking about Ukraine-U.S. relations, it was a bit tough after that meeting in Oval Office. Maybe you also have some advice how to make it smooth, maybe with new visit. Recently, President Zelenskyy invited President Trump to Ukraine. Maybe it will help, or how do you see this?
We've seen, unfortunately, President Trump reject that, and that's because I think President Trump does not want to see all the carnage that Russian aggression has visited on Ukraine. And in that sense, it may be a sign of an understanding which can be built upon to make a strong U.S. policy, which we are not seeing today. I think that Zelenskyy has been smart over the past several months, because he's essentially agreed to proposals coming from Washington to establish that ceasefire. And of course, the Russians have rejected it. And even many of Trump's allies have noticed that Trump has been weak on Putin. And this is what may ultimately move President Trump in the right direction.
You mean it will change his attitude to...
He's starting to feel embarrassed, which is why he said for about 3 weeks, well, I'm getting mad at Putin. Well, he's been said for 3 weeks getting mad at Putin and has done nothing, because he really doesn't want to do that. Now, that's a mistake. If he really wants a durable peace, if he wants to be a hero for ending this war with a durable peace, he's going to have to make sure that Moscow accepts a durable peace. And Moscow does not want a durable peace.
How can he be assured that Moscow will accept it? How the negotiation will be?
It's very simple. Moscow stops military actions. That's how he knows if Moscow will accept it. But we know Moscow does not want to accept. They want to continue the war on land. They want to continue pounding Ukrainian cities. They want to continue kidnapping Ukrainian children. All these things. So the president needs to send a strong message to Moscow that this is going to cost you. Now, the single best thing he could do would be announce tomorrow an American military package going to Ukraine. We don't have to pay for it. I'm sure means could be found to pay for it. But announcing that would tell Putin he's not going to go farther with this war.
And also about Europe, maybe Europe should be more effective in negotiation, maybe, because the war is happening.
I think Europe has done some very good things over the past 2 months. Macron and Starmer in particular, but also Stubb in Finland, of course the Baltic leaders, the Danes, other Nordics, the Swedes, have been very tough, and they're talking about deploying a European force to Ukraine, which of course the Russians reject. But of course this was also Trump's idea. And Trump, we know, welcomed Starmer and Macron enthusiastically back in late February when they came to talk about this deploying troops to Ukraine. We also, again, know Russia doesn't want this. But this is Trump's own idea, so he can't walk away from it. So you can see various things which could lead ultimately, and hopefully not in the distant future, to Trump lowering the hammer on Putin for his clear obstructionism at preventing peace. But right now, Trump, again, he's not there yet.
Yeah, and it seems like that President Trump now it's not in not on Ukrainian side, sometimes because of his...
they've explicitly said they don't want to be seen on any side. They want to get this deal done. Now, I don't think that's the right policy, but it's not a terrible policy if he does what he said he would do, which is, again, make the impediment to peace pay a heavy price. But he seems to be, for some reason, reluctant, even maybe afraid, to make Putin pay a price. I don't understand that. And I think that's a vulnerability in his position, which again could ultimately lead to him to do the right thing.
Did President Trump do not see that vulnerability?
Oh, he clearly sees it, which is why he's been saying for 3 weeks he's mad at Putin. But that being mad has not yielded any results.
Okay, interesting. Maybe you have some message you want to share with the Ukrainians who will see the video and the interview?
Look, the Ukrainians are in a tough spot. They've been in a tough spot since the big invasion and even before that. It's even tougher because we have let's just say, a confused policy in the White House. American support for Ukraine from the administration, and of course you need to have it come from the president, is still possible. There's some support now, but not as much as there was. So in that sense, Trump's policy is weaker than Biden's. But American people are still strongly behind Ukraine, and this is another vulnerability for Trump, for his refusal to make Putin pay a price. A poll showed within the last 2 weeks that 69% of Americans want to give either as much aid as we have given in the past or more. 69%, that's a very large majority for the United States.
But, excuse me, but it is the people who vote for Trump?
69% of all Americans.
Okay.
So that includes a lot of Trump voters, because he got about 51%, right? Now it's true, more Democrats and independents would like to see as much or more aid to Ukraine, but a large number, if not a majority of Trump voters, then certainly a large minority of Trump voters. Otherwise you don't get 69%. And 61% of Americans, all Americans, believe that Trump has been weak on Putin. And they want a stronger policy. 61%. Again, a large number of Trump voters.
So, what do you think? President Trump will see the numbers? And will
right now, President Trump and his advisors think that they have won an election relatively easily, and that's true, and they therefore have the right to make the policy as they see fit. But they've begun to run into some political issues with that signal call, which was a mistake, but more importantly with tariffs. And again, so that begins to already shake some of their confidence, as they may have to make adjustments. And that could well have an impact on policy towards Russia and Ukraine.
And maybe last question, what about partnership, if not US, if not United States? Who will be like the biggest partner of Ukraine?
Well, it's very clear Europe is stepping up, and they are a better partner today than they were when American policy was better than it is today. So that's a good thing. And again, I don't rule out, I expect at some point, hopefully soon, but maybe not so soon, we will see a much stronger, much better American policy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.